All right, guys, I got a new YouTuber you should all be hip to. I love highlighting new YouTubers that I think are ready. And by ready, I mean like they have their stuff together. They got multiple videos out that are popping. They're doing well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have SuperShadow.
Ruslan KD is one of the fastest growing Christian YouTube channels around. In less than 2 years, this man has established himself in the YouTube Christian space by producing multiple videos a week, using a unique live stream recording style for his videos, and having one of the dopest backgrounds that can only be matched by the truth that he is spitting. This week, I was able to join him for his live stream and get mentioned in one of his videos, leaving many to wonder, how did this happen? Did I just get lucky? Did I pay him to say those nice things? Was God just favorable on the ugly people that day? In this video, I want to explain how it all went down and react to his Ryan Trahan video, a topic that we both covered. All that and more is coming up right after this. All right, guys, to start, I just want to say, if you aren't subscribed to Ruslan already, please go and do that somehow. If you're not, go and make sure you do that and drop him a sub. This man has more content than you will ever know what to do with in a good way. And if you want to see the full interview we did together when we talk about Christian YouTube, getting started on YouTube, and possible ways to grow and make content creation a full-time reality for you, head on over to his Patreon. I'll leave the link down in the description below, and go and sub for as low as $5 a month. You can have access to his Discord and all the whole backlogs of his live streams. But okay, with that out of the way, let's get right into what happened here. Well, last week, as I mentioned in my Ryan Trahan video, I was laying in bed just looking for something to watch before I went to sleep, and I stumbled on a vlog from Ryan that had been released like 10 minutes before. So, being a fan of his work, I watched it, and at the end, he talked about how he had an interview and actually mentioned his faith with this person, something he acknowledged that he hasn't really done publicly before. Now, I had done a video a while back during his Penny series on if he was a Christian, and basically could only speculate at that point and guess that he was. Fast forward an hour later, after watching this full interview, he did, and I was like, I have to make a video on this. It's like 1 a.m. at this point on a Friday night. My family is sleeping. I crawl back here into my office to make this content, and funny enough, Ruslan is live. So I got his tab pulled up while I'm working on this stuff. So I make this video, and in the first 24 hours of it being up and live, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I check YouTube one last time, and I have a notification, and it was Ruslan saying, hey, great video. Thanks for breaking this. And it was at that point that I knew I had made it. So I packed up my bags, quit my job, and moved to LA. No, but for real, it was super cool just to have that. And I had no idea at this point how this man stumbled across my content and my videos. If maybe YouTube just felt sorry for me, or Ruslan was digging deep for some more content. Turns out it wasn't either of those, but one of his Patreon supporters in his Discord shared my video with him, so huge props to whoever that was. And that's really what got the ball rolling here, because over the past year, I really went into student mode when it came to YouTube. I was learning as much as I could, learning what is eye-catching in a thumbnail, how to edit videos that really get attention and keep retention. And I am by no means saying I'm an editing expert or YouTube expert. I'm still learning what works and what doesn't, but I think Ruslan and his team saw enough that they wanted to help me out and give me a shout out on his video we're about to react to. Here's the thing, I was sent this video by a few different friends that couldn't believe that he was talking about me and mentioned me in his video. And when I went to go watch this video, I noticed that he was also live and doing a live stream and talking about the Ryan Trahan stuff still. So I didn't want to start that video, but wanted to go hang out with him in the live. And that's when he invited me onto the stream to talk. And my mic sounded like I was communicating with 2 tin cans and a piece of string. Not my finest audio moment there, but it was cool nonetheless. And all that to say, I haven't actually seen this video yet that we're about to react to. And so from here on out, it's going to be a blind live reaction. No edits, no nothing. And really compare it to my own and see what we have similar on this matter and see what he actually has to say in this video. So let's get right into it. Way better thumbnail. I was struggling on what I should make mine look like, and dude, thumbnails are probably still for me one of the biggest things where I constantly am like, oh, maybe I should change a little bit. But these guys always nail their thumbnails. You know, the arrow thing, that always helps, it seems like, in videos from what I've seen. Having this little arrow just pointing to something, like really, what is this pointing to? It's just pointing to Ryan, but it's helping you in your few seconds where you're gonna see this thumbnail understand who went from atheist to Christian. Oh, right, like I know that face. And then obviously Ruslan, so you know it's his video. Super clean, super good. I think we're gonna see that a lot throughout this video here, where excuse me, where he is just like super concise, super clear. So let's jump into it. I want to get started here. Let's hear his intro.
Ryan Trahan is exploding on YouTube with over 10 million subscribers and having raised over 13 million meals for people who are less fortunate. The money for this was raised in his series about delivering a penny for Mr. Beast across country. He's clearly a very charitable guy. He's been married since he was 21. He's a hard worker, and it got me thinking, what is his faith worldview? Well, on a recent interview with Anthony Padilla, he actually revealed that he's a follower of Jesus.
Yeah,
so on this video, I'll be reacting to him sharing his testimony with a non-Christian audience and a New Age interviewer.
Dude, so clean, so good. Look at that, 36 seconds. It only took him 36 seconds, and you already established who is Ryan Trahan, why you should care about him, and what this video is going to be about. Like, dude, they're just so concise. When I've started making videos, honestly, it was like when I saw his stuff, I'm like, this is how concise I need to be. And I don't even think I'm that concise still. But guys, 36 seconds, you're hooked. You want to hear this story now. You want to hear this interview. So good. So good. Oh, man. Really good intro. Really fast paced, too. Like, the cuts in there were super good. Just from, like, what he showed of Ryan, of the interview there. Yeah, just really good. All right, let's keep going. Because like I said, I haven't seen any of this. By the way, if my cough, sorry guys, I have to bear with me through this. I had COVID like months ago, and I've had this lingering cough forever. In my edited stuff, you know, you guys don't get to hear it as much. I try to cut it out and make it not noticeable. But when I'm doing live reactions like this, kind of have to deal with the cough. So sorry, but let's keep going. I want to see what else he has to say about this.
Ruslan.
All right, guys, we're going to jump right
Hey,
into
that's
this
us.
video. I want to send a big shout out to a dope channel I just discovered called SuperShadow, which is the actual channel that broke this video and this story. And I'll link their video at the end of my video so you guys can go check it out. But before we get into that, guys, make sure you smash that like button.
Super kind of him. Super kind for him to say all that. To, you know, even he literally put my channel up. That's crazy. I didn't know he did all this. Like I said, somebody sent me the link to this and was like, bro, like, check this out. And so I was gonna watch this, like I said earlier, but then saw I was live, ended up doing the live stream with him. Yeah, so look at this. When he put this up, I was at 546 in terms of subscribers. I think we're like almost at 700 now, which is insane. This has been like 24 to 48 hours later from the time of me and him hanging out and him putting this up. So crazy here. Yeah, so you can see my thumbnail actually right there. That's what I ended up doing. I just took the other thumbnail and, you know, just figured people would watch it. I look at it, I'm like, it's too small. I need to do something bigger. You know, like his is like, they're huge. But yeah. So just you can see the difference between our thumbnails. I think his is way better, and mine I feel like has too many words, but that's just me. You know, I'm hard on myself. So yeah, super cool that he put this up here. And that he said,
before we get into that, guys, make sure you smash that like button
that he's
one
gonna
time
link it at the end
for the YouTube algorithm. When you like the video, it shoots it up the algorithm, which is a win-win for everybody. So let's just jump right in. Here's the interview.
right
We're
on.
going to pick it up at the 18-minute, 21-second mark. The
Hey,
moment
same
that
thing.
changed.
we did the same thing because, like I said, this interview is like, it's long. I think it was like 40 minutes. They might have edited it down. It says here 29, 24. It's a long interview. It's all good stuff. But yeah, in my video, I did the same thing. I just kind of like gave the background, went straight into like here at the 19-minute mark, the moment that changed everything. Yeah, we both started from the same spot. It's good. Like I said, the rest of it's good. This is the part though that people really come for.
Everything.
The biggest thing, which is probably the most important thing to me.
Tell me, Ryan. I'm ready.
Haley is Christian, and when we started dating, I was not. I was atheist, cynical atheist, even. Whenever I would talk to a Christian.
Look, let me just start. I didn't put this in my video. I don't know if Ruslan's going to address it or not, but the one thing I will say, I gave a lot of props to Haley for how she conducted herself and, you know, in terms of her witnessing to Ryan. I get this question now asked a lot from my students, and then even people were asked in my last video that I did on this. They said, was it wise for Haley to date a non-Christian? And to that, I'd say from a Christian perspective, yeah, from a pastoral perspective, I would not give the advice to say, hey, this is a green flag to do missionary dating. You know, it worked out for Haley and Ryan. Like, that's great. I'm glad it did. But I don't think that should be like the standard or the model that we use for who we should date or how we should date. Scripture actually talks about being equally yoked with somebody, that you guys are on that same path going together. Because the reality is a lot of stories, this one's a one-off, a lot of stories don't end this way. a lot of stories the guy doesn't come around or the girl doesn't come around, or there's a lot of other issues and values that get put in the mix. Things like premarital sex, living together, right? Like all of those types of things can get wrapped up. And sometimes for the believer, it's hard to hold that ground because you love that person. You want to give and take here. And so you might end up compromising your own morals to try to make that relationship work. And that's never a good sign. Down the line, people think that, if I just get married to this person, maybe that'll help them change and we want to be Christian more, or if we just have a kid. And let me tell you, from doing premarital counseling and doing marriage counseling for a number of years now, that is never, ever a good sign and a good starting point, because all it's going to do is just push down the line and add more factors into a already complicated situation. So no, I don't think that Haley, dating Ryan at that time, knowing that he was a hardcore atheist, was the most beneficial or wisest thing. I'll say that wasn't the wisest thing to do. Be friends, have these conversations, like each other, all that stuff, sure, but getting into a committed relationship, I wouldn't say that should be the standard of what we do here. I'm glad it worked out for them, praise God. And who knows, I don't know them personally. I wasn't there when this all happened, so maybe she was younger in her faith. I'm not here trying to speculate and judge that situation when I wasn't even, I don't know them personally. But that's what I will say is one caveat that I didn't talk about here. Let's see if Ruslan says anything, though.
I was always very questioning their beliefs. I started dating Haley, and I would ask her questions like that, like very hard questions. And I wanted to really challenge her because I loved her so much. I didn't want her to have this false view of reality. Conversation after conversation, she was very gracious with me. And she answered questions fairly logically. I would always look up debates and find.
You would try to debate her. You're like, I'm gonna slam dunk on you.
And I would what I realized though is my heart yearned for an answer. I realized it all came from a place of non-closure with my grandma.
So first of all, I want to just shout out to his wife being willing to have these conversations with him and actually having answers for his questions.
Right.
Second of all,
exactly.
He talks about how his heart was yearning for an answer. And the scriptures say that eternity is written in our hearts, meaning that every single person is dealing with these questions of where did I come from?
Yeah.
Where am I going when this is all said and done? Why was I created? What's the meaning of life? That God wired us this way to desire and ask these questions. So the fact that Ryan is dating a girl who's a Christian, is willing to ask the hard questions, to try and quote unquote debate her, and the way she responds to this is in a way that brings him to faith, doesn't push him away from faith. And then he has this revelation that, hey, this was actually all connected to the uncertainty of losing my grandmother before I thought this was supposed to happen. Let's keep watching.
Right. That's all a great point, right? That we have this longing for eternity, the echoes of eternity in our hearts because we're made in the image of God, because of how God created us to want to ask these questions. Ruslan brings up a great point. He wrapped up right there too also what I was kind of struggling with in my video of how to talk about. I think I ended up mentioning it towards the end in his realization. But yeah, Ryan talks about his grandmother in the beginning of this that we have to skip through in our videos to make it short enough for you guys to engage with and want to watch. But he did a great job right there being like, yeah, here's what it is. Here's what's going on. He connects it back to his grandma, and then he keeps going. Let's see.
Non-closure with my grandma, I just really want to know. This basically culminated to this day, July 4th, 2020. This is when my YouTube channel was doing very well. I had almost 2 million subscribers. I was making more money than I ever dreamed of. I was giving it all I had, and I received everything I thought I wanted. And so on July 4th, 2020, I was with Haley, we were watching the fireworks, and I started weeping. I started sobbing my eyes out. And I realized it's because I felt like I hadn't felt anything for 3 weeks. This was my finish line. All my identity is in this, and I feel nothing. Fireworks.
Interesting how he talks about achieving everything he ever wanted to achieve.
This was a big part.
Nothing.
I love this part.
Sounds a lot like Ecclesiastes with Solomon.
Yep.
And
exactly,
everything
dude.
being vanity
exactly.
once you have everything, right? And so he talks about how his identity, his value, why he's doing what he's doing is all connected to this thing. And then once you get it, especially at 21 years old, you go, whoa, this isn't everything it's cracked up to be. I don't feel anything. It's really interesting.
It's a representative of.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Great point there. Right? That to me was the moment where I was like, oh man, this guy's he's gonna figure it out. He's gonna get there because yeah, he has everything. You have everything you could ever want. I said in my video too. You have everything you could ever want, and yet you still are lacking. You still feel like there's nothing to be joyful about, nothing to be happy about. Yeah. So, all right, let's keep going. A few more minutes here.
Celebration, you know? And it was like a crazy juxtaposition of like, I should be celebrating right now. I love this girl that I'm with. I have everything I've ever wanted. Why do I feel empty? And it was crazy, dude. And I realized like, I need to go on like a spiritual pursuit. I started taking a lot less cynical approach towards asking questions, just starting to pray and starting to.
So, first of all, his self-awareness in this is brilliant. He says, I stopped taking as much of a cynical approach when asking questions. There's a difference between being skeptical and approaching the truth from a place of humility. Jesus, if you're real, if you really are who you say you are, reveal yourself to me, versus I'm going to be skeptical and try to get the Christian with the gotcha questions, right? And so the moment his posture changed and he opened himself up to like, hey, like maybe my girlfriend's onto this thing. Maybe my wife is onto something with this Jesus thing. It's all of a sudden the posture changed and he started to see what it really was.
Right, and that's where
myself, like,
God
what do I
can meet
believe?
somebody at.
And ultimately, I did land on Jesus, and I started, you know,
there it is.
developing a relationship with God. I can't believe I'm saying that, bro, because I literally would have absolutely clowned on myself 3 years ago.
That's
whenever I
what's
started
so
looking at
crazy is when it
wasn't like
clicks,
this
it
deep
clicks,
down,
and you're like,
you
dude,
realize, like,
how
wow,
did I miss
is
this?
So loving.
I love this because it reminds me of like a Paul moment, you know, Paul on the road to Damascus, where he's like, literally, dude's killing Christians, and then he has that encounter with God where he becomes real to him, and it's like, I can't deny this anymore. Like, this is who I am, and I love seeing Ryan smile and get excited about that, and yet like still be like blown away. But he's like, dude, I don't even believe that I'm saying this, but that's how powerful the gospel is. That's how effective it is for you and me, that this is the reality. This is the case.
And if I can potentially have a relationship with him, I'm just gonna try. And now it is my source of joy. Like, it is my source of love. It is my source of everything. Because I have that, I can go out into the world and do unto others like what I feel like I already have. It's real.
Yeah.
Like, I can't lie about who I am.
Yeah.
And like, I can't lie about where I get the source of joy and positivity.
Yeah.
Because it's actually such a disservice to, you know, people that watch.
In the past, I would have heard someone say something like, I found Jesus, I found this.
Yeah, the rest of the Anthony part, like, whatever. That part I didn't care for. You kind of really see the juxtaposition between, like, Anthony and kind of the New Age kind of stuff. And I think he even had a different thumbnail that had, like, New Ager on it. I don't even know. Is that still his testimony? No, he changed the title of it. Famous YouTuber Ryan Trahan shares testimony with. And he used to have it say something else. I think it was, like, New Age, you know, person or something like that, because he totally is, and just kind of like comes from that place of like finding your worth in yourself and, you know, looking for truth inwardly. So yeah, so I'm sure he probably digs into that in this video, I imagine. Let's see.
Energy is. So your thought doesn't create work. It doesn't produce anything. It's just a thought.
This is what he's talking about
Sometimes
probably
you
here.
act on your thoughts. I have a thought to go to the gym. I should get up. I should go to the gym. Or sometimes you have thoughts and you don't do anything with those thoughts and they don't produce anything. So your thought in and of itself is not energy. It is New Age. That is New Age thinking,
There
right?
it is, right there.
Like, you and I have gone down similar paths. Yours with a label of Christianity.
Yeah.
mine
There, yeah,
with
this
my
is the
own
part.
Personal spiritual beliefs. But now I kind of cringe on the past me that would immediately write people off for their beliefs.
I agree. I feel like it's so crazy, the transformation.
I was really hoping here when Anthony first responds after Ryan kind of shares his testimony, I was really hoping, because Anthony says like that, like I would have wrote you off a few years ago, and I was like, oh dude, like maybe he's on the cusp of it. Maybe we're about to see a conversion here in this interview. But instead he kind of talks about that New Age spiritual, I go on my own spiritual journey, I'm my own guru. Nonsense, I'll just say. And so I was like, oh, well, you know what? But the cool thing I will give to Anthony and his team is, they left this in. They could have just been like, yeah, we're going to cut that part of the interview out. That's not going to go well with our audience. That's not where a lot of people are at. But they left it in. And for whatever reason, for whatever intentions they had, they allowed it to stay in the video. This video has now reached millions of people. The dude has like over 10 million subscribers. So like it has reached the masses. And anyone who knows who Ryan Trahan is could also now see this, be interested in it, and hear his testimony about Jesus changed his life. That's huge. Like, I don't care what their reason is. If it's just money behind it, if it's just for Anthony's team to keep growing bigger or whatever, the gospel is being reached. The effects of Jesus and what he's doing in people's lives is reaching the masses. So kudos to them regardless. And I'm glad they left it in here. for that conversation.
Happens. Like when you go on like a spiritual pursuit, you just can't be the same person that you were before. And it's so cool that like so many people, you know, they find so many things. And I'm just so curious like how that's been for you. It's so awesome.
Frequently there was this part of me that would get defensive when someone would say something. There was this part of me that would get frustrated and angry about things. And I've realized that part of me, it never felt like it was me. It felt like it was this weird, like young version of me.
In Christian circles, in the Bible, we call that your inner sinful man. We call that original sin. We call that hostility towards God. And so even though I think in this situation, Ryan did a fabulous job sharing his faith, what happened, how we came to the faith through the door of being a skeptic. And then eventually, I'm guessing there was some apologetics involved, very similar to my story. Anthony here is really making it kind of wishy-washy energy, my truth versus your truth. I am not religious, but I'm spiritual.
Right.
And it's actually echoing the very same thing people have been echoing all throughout culture.
Exactly.
Because we all know that there's something else out there. Most of us know. It's very reasonable to come to the conclusion that there's theism, but we don't want the accountability that it comes with surrendering your life and following Jesus with everything you have. And I think you saw that in real time. And so I appreciate Anthony being very open-minded. I appreciate Ryan holding his ground and saying, no, like I would have clowned this, but something happened and something changed. And now I'm a new person. And now I believe in this Jesus.
I
and
can't go back.
The source of my joy, and things are different now. I appreciate this, that he was able to hold his own, but I also think that this is instantly the
where the world meets
colliding
us.
Of what is popular to say, I'm spiritual but not religious, versus Jesus, who says, I am all truth. I am the life. I am the only way to the Father.
Right.
Both of these can't be right. Both of them could be wrong, but both of these can't be right. So very interesting conversations. Guys, if you guys want to check out the channel
there we
that
are at the
initially
end.
broke this, I want you guys to go show some love to this brother. He's been doing a good job. It's SuperShadow. I'll link that over here below.
Dude,
and if you want to hear some of my more thoughts about New Age practice and some of the goofiness there, you can check out this video here, and I'll see you over there, all right?
Crazy. They're way too kind. They didn't have to do any of that. He could have just, in reality, right, like, I think I maybe had less than 100 views on my video by the time he saw it. He could have easily just like saw it, said, hey, this is good content. I'm going to make my own video on it. Do that. Did not need to shout me out. I cannot make that more clear. This man did not need to shout me out. He did. He not only shouted me out, he, followed me on Twitter. He gave me a chance to be on his platform and talk with my super crappy audio again. And then he links me at the end of the video. Dude, I cannot thank Ruslan and his team enough for this. Yeah, guys, I didn't pay them, like God's favor. Sure, they opened the door. He put it in that random Patreon's heart to share my video with him. And then for Ruslan to kind of see it and be like, dude, this guy has something here. Let me run with it and give him a shout out in the midst of it. Super cool, super appreciative. Man, I loved all of what he had to say there at the end, especially. Hey, we can both be wrong, but we can't both be right. Like, one of us has to have the truth. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and light. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so that is huge. And again, I'm sure the interview did get edited down from what it was. And so I had people asking me, like, I said in my video, this is a model of like how you should really share your testimony with the world. Like, he wasn't overly aggressive. He wasn't trying to just win the argument for the sake of looking smarter. Ryan, like, genuinely was just like, hey, here's what God did in my life. It makes me think of, I think it's Jesus heals the blind man, right? And he goes and the Pharisees question him, and they're like, who is Jesus? And this blind man, again, doesn't have a theology of God, doesn't know everything. But what he does say is like, all I know is I was blind and now I see, right? He's just like, here's my testimony. Here's what Jesus did for me. Now, who you say he is, that's on you. But here's how I know who he is. Because here's what he did in my life, right? And God doesn't discount him, doesn't go, dude, you didn't share the full gospel, right? And if we're wanting to be good stewards and good witnesses of that, somebody asked, like, all right, how do I do this well? And when do I bring up then the things like judgment and hell and that, these things? Because it wasn't mentioned in this video. Ryan could have very much said those things, and it just get edited out of the interview. Maybe he didn't, and totally valid. I don't think this would discredit his story and his witnessing that he did do. And so the model of what I'd say is, I think that continues in the conversation. That continues in engaging and talking through, like, here's what I understand, and here's how I know that he's a holy and just God, right? Like, you have to, I think it does a disservice to us to just say, here's a cookie cutter way of always presenting the gospel, because then we're not being genuine. We're not being sincere. It's just robotic of, okay, hey, I did that checklist. I did my way of the master. Have you ever sinned before? Have you ever, lusted after a woman before? Have you ever did this? Right. And those are all great learning tools. And I would not fault somebody for using that to learn how to be able to comprehend and remember all aspects of the gospel. But I don't want to create a culture or a mindset where it's just, I just have to check off every single box, otherwise God will be mad at me, or I failed witnessing. Man, sometimes it's just being able to say, hey, like that blind man, I don't know everything, but here's what I do know. Here's what Jesus did in my life. And allow that to be the starting point, that connecting bridge for others. Like hopefully Anthony, I hope that if you guys see this, you don't clown on him for what he had to say, the spiritual stuff. I know I said it's kind of nonsense, because I think it is, but at the same time, I don't think he's nonsense. I don't think Anthony is totally lost and someone we just write off. I think Anthony is somebody that we should be praying for, that I pray that this encounter with Ryan would be something that sticks with him here and here, and make him go, man, maybe I got to reassess some things, man. There's something about Ryan. That's something everybody has been leaving comments on. There's something about Ryan, and he might be onto something. The same way Haley, Ryan's wife, was to Ryan, I hope Ryan is to Anthony that same thing, where it's like, man, that guy was pretty logical. Man, that guy was pretty gracious. And maybe there's something I got to reconsider here. So that's my ask if you watch this video here. And the takeaway, always be prepared to have an answer for the faith and reason that you have. That's 1 Peter 3:15. Also, be praying for the people. Don't just see them as somebody who's an enemy, who's someone who you just have to overcome and that God has challenged you with to be faithful, right? Be like the blind man. Be willing to ready in and out of season to share your testimony, to share what God's doing in your life currently, not just in the past, but what he's doing here and now. And let that conversation happen naturally. Be willing to talk about, heaven and hell. Don't shy away from those things, but be ready and willing to say, hey, if that's where the conversation goes, great. But I'm not just going to be pulling that up because it's just something on a checklist that I need to just say. No, not at all. It doesn't discredit your witness. And I would say the more often you do this, the better you'll get at being able to answer these questions. So no one's going to be perfect at this the first time. I think it was really awesome, and God worked through Ryan to have this kind of effective communication with Anthony in this. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Again, make sure to go check out Ruslan, see his full reaction to this interview here. I really appreciate him. Again, I can't thank him enough. If you guys, like I said, want to see that full interview, the link is in the description below. Go subscribe to his Patreon and get to hear my bad audio and our takes on how to grow a new YouTube channel and what to do and the struggles that come with it. But until next time, guys, know that you are valued and loved, and I'll see you soon.